My name is Matthew Todd, and welcome to Inside the Scale Up. This is the podcast for founders and executives in tech looking to make an impact and learn from their peers within the tech business. We lift the lid on tech businesses, interviewing leaders and following their journey from startup to scale up and beyond, covering everything from developing product market fit, funding and fundraising models to value proposition structure and growth marketing. We learn from their journey so that you can understand how they really work, the failures, the successes, the lessons along the way, so that you can take their learnings and apply them within your own startup or scale up and join the ever-growing list of high-growth UK SaaS businesses. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Pleased today to be joined by Kirsty, Dawe, who is the CEO of a company called Webeo. Great to have you here.
Hi, Matthew. Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to chatting to you today.
Yeah, likewise. Looking forward to finding out a bit more about what it is that you're up to and what that journey has looked like. So to kick things off, can you give us a little bit of a brief intro? Exactly what is Webeo and what's your role there?
Sure. So Webeo is a B2B website personalization software. And the reason that we exist is to support B2B organizations with driving conversion on their website. We solve that big problem that actually in B2B, not too many of us have identified exists, but our B2C colleagues have, in the, we maybe best case scenario get a 2% conversion from every one of those buyers that we drive to our website. And actually that means that 98% of our visitors just aren't converting.
Yeah.
And so our solution is proven to drive an uplift in conversion by allowing a marketer to personalize their website in real time as a visitor hits their website. So that can be based on firmographic data such as their industry, the company size, or where they're based, or it can be based on the previous behavior of a buyer when they visited the website, or the fact that they exist in the CRM and they've taken this action before. But ultimately, it's creating a connection with that buyer and showing that we recognize you and we know what's important to you. So here's the right information. And, the biggest challenge that we've got is just keeping those high intent buyers on the site. So if we create that engagement, they stay on the site and again, they're more likely to convert. And my role is CEO, so I am, leading the team here at Webeo. I like to think I'm a good person to do that because I am a B2B marketer by background, so I am our customer. But obviously I have all of the teams working closely with me, sales, marketing, engineering, product, customer success, all looking to support our customers in the best way possible.
Cool, awesome. That sounds really, really interesting. And one thing that struck me about what you said is that not a lot of businesses realize the power that personalization can have. Do you have any kind of examples that you can kind of talk us through of how that personalization really does make a difference?
Yeah, sure. So, overall, like when I look across our customer base, personalization delivers an average uplift of around 135%. So all of our customers run an A/B test when they start, and they'll serve 50% of traffic within a campaign, a personalized version, 50% the existing version. And on average, they're getting 135% uplift in conversion on those personalized experiences. And then for some, if I brought some specific examples to life for you, Acumatica is a really great example of a client who's well invested in their personalization journey. And, they're doing behavioral personalization where they're getting like 60, 70% uplift in conversion by talking to buyers differently the next time they visit the website.
Okay.
And addressing the fact that they've already been there, what's important. And they're really powerfully driving conversion across all of their key industries by serving personalized experiences. And actually, the firmographic use case, especially when you're using it on things like paid search, you can get uplifts in conversion of like 200% plus. And that would be something that Acumatica would be getting.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, especially when they are coming from search. If you can direct them to some content or a page that has elements that are more tailored to the type of business that they're coming from. And yeah, sounds like it makes a lot of sense when you talk it through.
Yeah, it does. And I think the other key point is that with paid search, obviously you can create a landing page to respond to that buyer, and we highly recommend using personalization based on the keyword that you searched on. But if you're only using a landing page, that personalization ends when they go through to the rest of the website. So what Webeo is enabling them to do is to continue that, whether that be, okay, well, they've come on the website from the manufacturing industry, so the landing page looks like this, but then so do the customer stories look relevant to manufacturing. So the whole journey is better. And that's really important within B2B because, my goodness, it is a journey, and it's never a journey that happens just once either. Yeah. So personalization across all of it is important.
Yeah. And what do you think, businesses that want to start out getting into kind of creating more personalized experiences, what do they need to know about their audiences, etc., to make that actually work and deliver those results? What have you seen working in that area?
Yeah, so I think the customers who have the best success are the ones who understand their value proposition across those different segments, whether that be like the vertical industry segments or how a buyer moves through the funnel. And that's really what any good marketer should have. Yeah. If you don't we're all running ABM campaigns. We're all running personalization. We know being relevant and powerful. And you would never dream of a salesperson going to talk to an organization without having all of that nailed. So getting that insight of how is the value proposition different on that vertical compared to that vertical. And then, it isn't much more complicated than that. As long as the customer knows that, we can then help them with our customer success team to translate that into a more compelling headline. The body copy, they're not changing every single thing. It's imagery that makes sense with that value proposition, the customer stories that fit with that value proposition, the use cases. But they do need to have that. They should understand, if they are targeting different segments, how their solution works for those segments differently.
Yeah, I see that, absolutely. They should certainly understand that, but I can see how, with technology, you can bring that knowledge even just subtly earlier into that buying journey than before. So therefore, I can see how that would result in a better, buyer process and therefore conversion rate for the company as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, because our best customers, they've got that really good relationship with sales. So the language that they're translating into those experiences is based on what customers have actually said. So it's using that language. As soon as they hit the website, this is your problem because you exist in this industry. Okay, that resonates with me. I'm going to stick around.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Webeo itself, then, as a business, what has that journey looked like? There's not too many tools that you kind of come across promising what Webeo does. So I'd be interested to hear more about, what that kind of journey for your company itself has looked like.
Yeah, so do you mean in terms of building the product and growing and developing?
Yeah, just in terms of finding your own market fit and starting to scale out, those operations as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think obviously what we do is, it's certainly something that there's a lot of interest in, right? It's cool. It's it gives marketers the opportunity to be agile with their website and make changes in real time. All of a sudden, they're not relying on developers and briefs and all of that. So there is a lot of excitement around the technology. And the editor, is really, really powerful. Simple code on the website, creates a skin, and you can start to drag and drop all sorts of elements on your website. I think, so it'd be really easy to sell that solution to many businesses. But I think what we have learned is that we need to focus on the businesses with the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Because in a SaaS organization, as we know, retention is everything. There is no point in, bringing people in and they're like, yeah, I want to do this because it sounds cool and interesting. And then them recognizing that it's not easy to measure success. And that's a really important part of it. So, customers that have a high volume of traffic to their website, that have a demand generation focused website, that are actively investing in spending money driving traffic to their website, those are the ones with the pain.
Yeah.
And so those ones, it's very easy to show, okay, well, look at the great uplift you're getting on your conversion when you're employing personalization. And then it's like, well, they're never going to switch that off because I'm getting visible leads for that. And, if a customer wants to do lots and lots with personalization, but they haven't got high traffic and it's difficult to measure success, that isn't going to keep them as sticky. So we have really honed and focused down on our ICP. Like, we looked at all the ways our customers can personalize, be that using IP data, be that using an integration, using behavioral, and then understood, okay, well, how much traffic would they need to be able to create a meaningful test and get that test to be statistically significant? So they, without doubt, know that that's delivering. And then that becomes our ICP. Like, those customers, we have no doubt that personalization is going to work for them. And then, that's when you're personalizing at scale, and you're personalizing at scale because you want to go from 100 leads a month to 300 leads a month. A lot of the companies that we work with, that's the space that they're operating in. There are other organizations who may want to personalize and take more of an ABM route. Yeah. That's more difficult to measure. So we recommend that that's part of a whole journey. Obviously, like, if you're doing true ABM, it's one-to-one. Yeah. So you're not going to be able to do an A/B split test. So we encourage all of the use cases, but with the customer who's really got the pain, which is, I've got high traffic, I'm spending thousands to drive people to my website. And we're educating them to say, look, stop doing that. Well, not stop doing it, but stop just going more money, more money, more money. And actually take that 2% and flip it on its head and go, God, like 98% of all those businesses, you're not converting. Like, that's where you need to focus your energies.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see why that, if you go after those type of customers, you very, very quickly get evidence through that data that shows it's working. And like you say, they're not going to want to turn that off if it is working, are they? No, and and it evolves over time, the ICP does, so like we have our ICP, we have ICP1 and ICP2, and the ICP1 is like, they've got everything, like they've got all of the characteristics that would make them ideal, and the ICP2 is, it will absolutely work for them, but it would be better if so we still accept those customers because we know we can deliver success, but we also, our marketing team will attest to the fact that we say no to a lot of inquiries that come in. Okay. And I think as a startup, it's really easy just to take everything. But what you end up doing is then trying to make your product fit with all of those customers that have different needs and requirements. And you can't satisfy them all. You've got to just focus on solving that one problem. So doing that data work, like looking at, okay, who are all the businesses that have these characteristics, whether that be traffic, whether that be other software that exists in their tech stack, whether that be where they're based, all of those things, like we have that in our own ICP document that everyone in the business has to know and understand. And, we'll say no if they don't fit that. Yeah, it makes it so much easier to talk about the customer, have shared knowledge about the customer when you do have that focus. And I've unfortunately seen many SaaS businesses say yes to too many different types of customers, and they think it's good because they've got, oh, look, we've helped these people over here with that problem, we helped these people over there with that problem. It sounds good, but then they quite quickly plateau and they realize that they don't know how anyone's using the product, and from a sales and marketing perspective, they therefore don't know actually how to communicate with their customer base.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely value in having the segments, like say we could talk really differently to how we would help manufacturing businesses use the product versus software or business services.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful, because when you're going to market to say, here's all the other people that look like you that we're doing this for, really resonates. But if you've got all of those different segments using in completely different, like as in the solution or the problem that you're solving is totally different, then you've got a problem, because who you're building for.
Yeah. So segment based on like industry characteristics or other characteristics, but have a core problem that they all share, and then that is not taking you off in different directions.
Yeah, that's the thing, because then you can look at the ICP, and the engineering team can look at the ICP, and the customer success team can look at the ICP, and everybody is aligned with, this is the problem that we're solving. And then, definitely from a product perspective, we are able to constantly ask ourselves, like, what does this do? We have a name for our ICP. She's called Sarah. But what does this do for Sarah? Like, how is this going to make her world better? And if it's not, why are we doing it?
Yeah. And is that something kind of from a culture perspective that was pretty easy to get everyone on board with, or do you still get pushback from people, seeing an opportunity, but you know that it's outside of what it is that you're trying to solve?
Yeah. I think because we did it from an early stage, and we're part of a group where there are much bigger brands who we've learned a lot from what they've done. Okay. I would say we were able to actively avoid that situation from the start, but it absolutely doesn't mean that it didn't cause friction, because the marketing team would be going, look at all of these leads that we're generating that we're having to say no to, and the sales team going, no, we can't sell to that one for this, and this. So absolutely there was, but I think the key thing is we're all aligned on getting the LTV CAC right. And the only way that that's going to happen is if we attract the right customers. So the team are grown up enough to do that. I think the challenge would have been if we were already doing it a different way, and then you have to try and because it is really hard. If you've only got, if you've got an ICP that you've identified, that gives you your TAM. You can't do marketing that you just keep throwing stuff at, and you've got to be really considered with the way that you talk to those buyers, and every message counts, because you can't create scorched stuff. You don't want them to opt out of your communications or unsubscribe. So what it's made us do is to think much, much more about content and messaging and thought leadership alongside the demand gen, because actually my background and a lot of the guys in the team, we've all come from that really measurable B2B demand gen background. But that has to flow alongside this thought leadership and content that keeps people engaged, because you've got a limited audience to go after. No, that makes a lot of sense. And do you think, you mentioned kind of you're part of a bigger group as well. Do you think that almost made it a bit easier knowing that those resources are there and you had that backing, and you weren't constantly trying to kind of find that fit, perhaps in a way that could be a bit more scrappy with the smallest founding team? So we're bootstrapped. So the whole group is bootstrapped. So I definitely think we feel it, we feel the pressure from that perspective. There isn't endless pots of money
Yeah.
available for us to just go, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that. We've got all these so we have to be really selective about what we do. But yeah, absolutely, like being able to make that decision and say, like, we aren't just going to focus on revenue for revenue's sake, and we're going to focus on attracting the right businesses and having the group support, of course, made a difference. Yes. But equally, we had to do that within, limited funding.
Yeah. I guess there's, pros and cons of different kind of operating environments, right? And, there are some very good stories of, bootstrap companies and also some ones that don't work. And same with venture investment and capital as well, right? And I think as long as all the stakeholders are aligned on the journey, then that helps. I think it can be when you've got people chasing short-term metrics, when you're trying to chase kind of longer-term vision, that's when I think it can take you off course.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's really it's a constant battle on that, because obviously we want more revenue to drive more development, but everything is about retention. So we just have to always check ourselves and bring ourselves back. Because actually, we know, like, the retention brings the revenue anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to hear someone talking about the importance of retention, because I think sometimes it can get a bit lost, especially in earlier stages when, like you say, there's just that kind of success of, we managed to get these customers or those customers, or, we validated this or whatever it may be.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that absolutely did happen with us in the very early stages, because we had lots of early adopters, lots of cool people who wanted to personalize and use the technology, but we were able to identify that quite quickly and then make decisions, early on in our kind of journey.
Yeah. No, interesting. And in terms of kind of other parts of the business, in terms of building out that sales team and process as well, can you share a little bit about what that's like for that kind of product like Webeo?
Yeah, so the sale, it's really important that the sales team and the people in sales understand the customer's world. So while the majority of our team are sales first, they also, we've also invested a lot in them to develop their marketing knowledge and skills. And actually, some of them come from marketing background.
Yeah.
Because it's really important to be able to talk with authority to marketers. I find that marketers are under a lot of pressure, and they have this world where they've got all of this technology and it needs to talk to each other, and they've got to report to the board not just on volume of leads, but attribution right the way through to sale. And the sales team really need to get that. The worst thing that a sales team can do is come in and say, we've got this great product and it's going to do this, this, and this, and have no idea of how that's going to fit with their integration and drive ROI. So the approach is really consultative. We're really getting alongside those businesses, understanding their conversion, what their objectives are for the year, where they would like to get that conversion to, and then that translates right through to the CS team as well. So the sales team have that level of knowledge, and we can build out a really nice forecast for the customer, what they can expect to get, because we're able to identify, right, these are how many businesses that you're going to be able to personalize to using IP data. This is so all of that is known at the point of them onboarding. And then there's a further level of detail that goes into with the CS team on those joint customer success plans. So again, handing over from sales, right, this is why you bought us, this is what you want to deliver. Great, okay, so this is the plan to do that. We're going to keep you to that. So I think nobody is going into a purchase of Webeo not having a clear idea of why they bought it and how we plan to make sure that they deliver on that.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think that really helps. It does make the sales cycle, more intense, and perhaps a little bit longer than it needs to be, but it will aid retention in the long term. And it also means that sales aren't throwing something over the line to customer success without really sitting down with them and saying, is this going to work?
Yeah, it sounds a very kind of detailed, thorough approach that really is truly aligned with the customer's best interests ultimately. So yeah, I can see how that, of course, the sales team and every other part of the business then has to have a certain level of, marketing knowledge and expertise as well.
Yeah, and it's not, that is like the education that we've done on the ICP, the training that we've done with the team. They really get the MA platforms, Google Analytics, all of the things that are important. But it doesn't mean that, they don't. We want to speed. They want to speed things up.
Yeah.
But process is key, isn't it? You've got to go through those processes to onboard a customer, and people have to follow those. So I guess being bootstrapped and having that smaller team means that we've been able to have that level of control, but we do have a very strict sales cadence and methodology that we use, and the guys are rated on that regularly. So it's really important.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear that is, not just the ideal that you'd like them to do, but you are, finding ways to hold people accountable to that as well. And I also imagine with the prospects that you don't, convert to customers, I imagine because of that type of detailed process, you must learn an awful lot about the reasons why that was and how to better direct the product, the marketing, the sales efforts that you have as well.
Definitely. So because we are so close to the customer, we're able to think about things that have been a barrier to sale. But again, when they come on board, because we are focused on their marketing objectives and what's important to them, it really helps us develop our product for churn, which is most important. Because actually, when we develop the product for churn, that supports sales anyway. But there is a constant feedback loop between sales, CS, and product. So we're developing that.
No, it's just really good to hear that focus on retention. And one thing obviously a lot of people are talking about as well is the opportunity for any kind of upsell, etc., to that existing customer base as well. How important is that in a business like Webeo?
So upsell for us is obviously we've got the opportunity to sell more licenses and more websites. When customers renew, obviously we've got the upsell there too. We have also got the opportunity for cross-sell as part of the group, although we're talking to marketing decision makers and other products in the group often talk to sales.
Okay.
But we share businesses, so we are good at understanding, okay, well actually there's a fit over there. So we can then upsell to that customer, and that all helps with our net retention because we're just growing the value of that individual business. But with Webeo, we have the 3 tiers of product. So we've got the entry level solution. Then we've got a solution which includes the Marketo HubSpot Pardot integrations. And then we've got a third solution, which is custom integration. So again, our customers can move up in tiers, and then that's the opportunity to upsell. And also, as a customer grows in their traffic volumes, again, there's upsell opportunity there. But watch this space, because we are, we're thinking a lot about how we can open up the world of personalization to different audiences by modularizing some of the parts of the product. So
I see. Interesting. No, look forward to finding out more on that one. And for any other founder, CEO, whether they're in a bit early in the journey or whether they're in that kind of scale up phase as well, from a B2B marketing perspective, what advice would you give them, based on your own journey, but also the customers that you work with as well?
So if you're referring to like how do we effectively market ourselves, like as a startup business, I'm going to echo some of the words I heard Patrick Campbell say, actually, because if you're bootstrapped, one of the ways to really effectively market is by delivering really, really good content and making that content altruistic. So it is not there to sell your product. It's there to help your buyers solve a problem.
Yeah.
Because then when they want to solve that problem and they've got budget, they'll know that you're experts. Even if you told them there's loads of different ways that you can solve that problem, and, you know, ours might be a small part of that. Here's the advice and guidance that we can give you to solve that problem. They're building a relationship with you through that content, and they see you as a trusted advisor.
Yeah.
I don't think there's, and I think but it does require investment from the CEO and, you know, the individuals in the business who have got the most knowledge. So you've got to find a voice and be comfortable with putting yourself out there and writing a blog and writing a piece of content and having an opinion and using your knowledge to help buyers. So that a famous book that I absolutely love called Utility by Webeo, and it just talks about like help is way, way more important than selling, because if you help someone, you'll have a customer for life.
Yeah.
Once you understand what your buyer's problem is, creating good content that helps them solve that problem, irrespective of what you offer, is a great way to approach it. And then obviously understanding who is our market, what's our TAM, and creating good direct messaging to identify and reach out to that audience as well. So you've got like the halo effect of great content and people find you anyway. And then you've got that, and we're here and we're talking to you and we'll send it to you. But it's the combination of push and pull. So the pull is the great content at the top. And that's what I would say. Don't underestimate. Like if you are out there solving this problem, you are probably a wealth of knowledge for your buyers. Like devote some time every week to write something that they will follow, or create something, whether that be a podcast or, you know, a quick video that they will find valuable. They'll hear about you that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's really good advice. I like what you said about it being a push and pull, because I think some people can think that it's just pull only, that, oh, I'll create the content, I'll write a few posts, and then people will come and find me, and then they get disheartened after, you know, trying it for like 3 weeks, and then realize, oh no one's approached me yet. We've not got hundreds of customers. Maybe I'll stop writing content now.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, they have to work together, but your demand gen and your, like, you know, tipping people over into the funnel, it can complement what you're doing with your content. But yeah, just the content on its own, you've still got to ask that question. You've still got to go for getting the demo. You've still got to make it measurable.
Yeah.
And so all of our teams are targeted. Like there's two elements, you know, we're targeted on hitting that number. We're also targeted on, you know, shares and interactions with content, and building our profile in that space too, because they're both just as important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Really, really interesting. And just to kind of wrap things off, where do you think the world of marketing technology is heading? There seem to be so many developments almost every day, new technologies, new integrations. You know, do you think it's an exciting time, or you know, how do you see things playing out?
I do think this is an exciting time, because AI is like, I don't fear AI from a marketing perspective, with things like GPT-3 and, like, you know, other solutions that are coming out. I see those as empowering us to get some of the basics done, so that then we've got space for creativity. And, you know, like I was talking to a colleague the other day who said, you know, I'm not sure actually who runs an agency, or I'm not sure about using this to like create blogs and things like that. And I was like, it stops you starting with a blank sheet of paper. Yeah. So AI decision making, like this is what we've learned other people have done before that is a success. Plug that in. This is some content to start you off if you want to talk about this. Plug it in, and then you add your creativity on top of that, and you make it unique, and you make it. I just think it's going to accelerate what we do, and give us more time to focus on where we can really add value, rather than sitting there with nothing and having to create from scratch. So I'm all for it. I'm very excited by it.
Yeah, no, likewise. That's really good to hear. I think, I share the same perspective. I think, if you're just trying to sell your time in creating things that don't stand out, where there's no real value add, then I can see how you might be threatened for it. But for everyone else, it's like, it's a really good starting point. Now you get to spend most of your time on the stuff that really adds that value. Exactly.
And that is, there may be individuals who are thinking, oh God, this is going to, but it isn't. All it's going to allow you to do is to add more value, and you can put your prices up because you're not spending the time doing that other stuff. So I don't think it's going to, that's from a marketing perspective, but even in any other workspace, anything that is repetitive, that doesn't need a human to do it, great, let's use those powerful human brains for something else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Completely agree. And I think that's a good way to wrap things up. And I certainly look forward to keeping an eye on Webeo, seeing what some of those developments that you hinted at end up looking like, and would encourage people as well. We'll leave links in the show notes for anyone interested in finding out more about personalization as an approach in marketing. So no, thank you for sharing that.
No, my pleasure. Really good to speak to you, Matthew. And just, I would say on that nice thought leadership content, we have a really nice CRO podcast. We don't promote anything to do with the product. We just talk about CRO guidance, and we're talking to marketers about what they do and what works for them. So if you are starting on your CRO journey, that's a good place to start, especially if you're B2B.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Inside the Scale Up. Remember, for the show notes and in-depth resources from today's guest, you can find these on the website insidethescaleup.com. You can also leave feedback on today's episode, as well as suggest guests and companies you'd like to hear from. Thank you for listening.